Parmalat is a manufacturer of milk and milk products that originated in 1960 in Collecchio, Italy, that is the hometown of its founder, Callisto Tanzi. The company was developed thanks to the ability of its founder and generous grants from the European Union. In addition to, it was the first Italian company that used Tetra Brick in order to achieve its success. Since 1974, Parmalat was established in 24 countries and had more than 26,000 employees. The company multiplied into branches, specifically in territories that offered tax facilities and tax havens. Parmalat has entered the stock market of Milan in 1990, occupying the first world position in the market of long-life milk. This extraordinary success made Parmalat shares one of the safest values of Milan Stock Exchange.
O búfalo falou que é bom. O gorila falou que faz bem. O tigre de Bengala diz que não fica sem. O elefante, o porco espinho e a zebra adoram também. O urso branco, o urso pardo, o leão marinho e o esperto leopardo. Toda a floresta vira uma festa quando tem iogurte Parmalat. O búfalo falou que é
muito bom.
The company has dealt with a fraud that used sophisticated financial mechanisms to steal the company's funds and allocate them to the accounts of Tanzi's family. The intensive use of fake societies was used to falsify the accounting. Moreover, there were complex structures that formally complied with market regulation, which prevented alarm signals to be noticed earlier. Not only the Tanzi's family and other Parmalat administrators were involved in this process, but also many investment banks, law firms, and accounting and financial experts. All of this was done to benefit other families' operation, to raise the price of Parmalat's share in stock market, also hide the dangerous financial status of the group, create fictitious assets valued at billions of euro, and hide what was a bad expansion policy. All of these purchases were carried out during the 90s. Parmalat used the placement of convertible shares and bonds into tax havens for years in order to finance acquisitions worldwide. Its sales apparently increased by 410% between 1993 and 2002. The scandal began at the end of November 2003, when the company could not guarantee the liquidity of an investment of 496.5 million euros in the Epicureum Fund of the Cayman Islands. This caused the resignation of the financial director of the company, Fausto Tonna. The value of the shares fell from 3.10 euros in September 2003 to 0.11 euros on December of the same year. We can count more than one responsible person: Callisto Tanzi, head of Parmalat and brain of the fraud; the wife Anita Reggi and the daughter Francesca Tanzi. They have collaborated and benefited from fraud. Fausto Tonna, financial director of Parmalat and right hand of Tanzi. Claudio Pessina, manager of Parmalat. Alessandro Bassi, one of the accountants of the company, who committed suicide after the scandal. Moreover, auditor for their lack of diligence in fulfilling their work. Banks for collaborating with Parmalat in its fraudulent activity. Regulators who didn't do their job properly, either due to the lack of an adequate illegal framework or due to the lack of supervision. Institutional investors due to lack of criteria when choosing their investments. The market in general, because 8,000 shareholders and bondholders have never recovered the total amount of money they invested and probably never will. The investors, the employees of the company, the providers, the other Italian companies because Parmalat case has caused an increase in the risk premium. This created more difficulties in obtaining financial aid, simply because investors demanded a higher amount of money in return on their investment. The banks that lent money. The auditors, since last accounting scandals, have had an effect on the credibility of the auditors' work. Social responsibility can be understood as social obligation and social reaction. Social obligation meaning the only responsibility of the company is to organize its activity respecting the legal limits imposed by the law. This was a problem for Parmalat because the company began to falsify some bank documents with the object of earning and obtaining money from banks. Social reaction, meaning the social responsibility of an organization must also respond to the requirements of the various social groups. In this context, Parmalat deceived its client, its stakeholder, and also some relatives of the Tanzis family. A good decision was not made in a ethical sense, since the responsible ones didn't have theoretical or practical rationality. There was a big lack of theoretical rationality because they didn't carry out any personal reflection, and obviously they didn't use their ethical knowledge, that every company should pay attention to. In terms of practical rationality, the head of Parmalat, Callisto Tanzi, had no sincerity with himself. He knew the risks of all these activities, but he didn't hesitate to go ahead. It's easy to say that a culture of ethics was not promoted in this company. In this case, it's not possible to talk about lack of leadership. In fact, Tanzi actually did have the qualities of a leader and was a good model for the others. However, he performed bad practices, with the only object to obtain benefits for himself. Not only Tanzi can be considered guilty for omission, but also the other high figures of the company are involved. They were fully aware of the illegal actions and yet decided to collaborate. For this reason, we are able to talk about a bad formal cooperation. The Parmalat case revealed a big lack of transparency in one of the largest dairy companies in Europe. After the scandal, the main responsible ones were arrested and brought to the court to serve their sentences. Since Callisto Tanzi was the founder of the company, he obtained a longest sentence. At this point, everyone has served their sentences, and Tanzi is the only one who still has a house arrest and left the company. On the contrary, Fausto Tonna is the manager of another company, and Claudio Pessina is still living in Collecchio, and is a treasurer of a baseball team. A French company has bought Parmalat after the scandal in order to save it. That's why Parmalat has stayed in the market and still has millions of employees around the world. The company managed to regain the trust of the clients.